All right. I'm here with my good friends, Robert and Dan. I'm Zach Rasinger.
I'm Dan Lukowitz.
And together, we're part of the CRE Pro and CRE Pro Course and CRE Pro Network. Love to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are super pumped.
All right.
About it. All right, I think we're good on our audio. Good. Dan, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you for asking. Robert, how you doing today? I muted you. I'll unmute you, maybe. Unmute your mic.
Good morning, guys.
There you go, bud. All right.
How you doing, guys?
Doing very well, my friend. So let's just kick it off, guys. I mean, we're here on a fantastic day. We've got some very bright people in, not only here with us in Robert, Dan, and Zach, but we have a great audience out there in multiple channels, right? So we're on LinkedIn Live, as you see here. We're on TikTok Live. We're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube Live. So we're all across the channels. What we could really use from you, our friends, family, and CRE pros is to like, share, subscribe, post, repost, everything you can do to get the message out, get this in front of the right people. And we really appreciate you. As always, Dan, you know how this goes. Any comment, any subscriber, any input that you can provide, we will absolutely respond to it. We can put it live on air today, right now. We can put it on the replay. And as always, we will always answer every question and give you a big thumbs up. Thank you very much for participating. Dan, I'm just going to have you kick it off today. In terms of commercial real estate, tell us a little bit more about who Dan Lukowitz is.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's great to be back on these LinkedIn Lives with you, Zach and Robert. I'm excited to be part of this today here with you. So yeah, I'm a commercial real estate broker. I'm the senior director here at Encore Real Estate Investment Services. So we do net lease brokerage. Last year alone, we brokered 320 deals, $985 million of net lease transactions.
Woo, baby, that's a lot.
Yeah, and we specialize in this small sector of commercial real estate. It's a huge sector when you look at it by asset, volume and transactional volume. But in terms of what we do, we're experts, in one narrow focus, which is net lease. So, I'm happy to be here today. Obviously, in addition to being a commercial real estate broker, I also am the co-creator of the CRE Pro Course with my good friend Zach Rasinger. And that's a commercial real estate training course that's designed to help people get into the industry and learn about commercial real estate investing and brokerage. Additional information can be found on our website at creprocourse.com. That's creprocourse.com. And as always, I'm here excited to add value, have a little bit of fun, learn a lot, and interact with great commercial real estate professionals.
As Dan always says, provide value and everything else follows. And I love that tagline because I think you really live up to that. Another guy who lives up to that is Robert D. Robert, tell us a little bit more for our audience here. Tell us a little bit more. Who is Robert D?
Sure. My name is Robert D. Dan, Zach, thank you for having me. I'm a real estate professional, do multifamily acquisitions and asset management for about a decade now. Done about 700 million plus in real estate transactions, own a portfolio, and do real estate consulting this year, specializing in implementing automations and AI for commercial companies. So improving your business, making you go faster and better.
One of the reasons that I think that you're going to be a fantastic addition to today's LinkedIn Live is you have an article and video about 50 ways to repurpose content so that you can get your name, your brokerage, your services out in front of more people, quicker, faster scale, spend more time working with your clients, prospects, and on the deals that you're working on, and less time chopping up and recategorizing or repurposing content. So I'm really looking forward to learning more about that with you today, how you're using AI, how you're using ChatGPT, how you're using all of the other platforms that we have in the sidebar over there. I have a list of them that we typically use. And in commercial real estate brokerage, we're really just getting into the leverage of social media. One of the guys who's best at that here is Dan Lukowitz. Man, I'd like to ask, because this is a funny thing that happened it was actually at your wedding. Somebody came up to us. they said, "Hey, Dan Lukowitz from LinkedIn." You go, "Yeah, I mean, I'm also Dan Lukowitz from real life." So you're well known on LinkedIn. I call them Dan fans. But how did you build the Dan fan base, and how have you been able to provide value to them using LinkedIn or using other channels?
Yeah, it's a funny story that you brought up. Anecdotally, that was at the Grand Hotel in Mackinac Island, and an individual came up to me and just said, "Hey, man, are you Dan Lukowitz from LinkedIn?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Dan. Like, what's up?" Basically, and I ended up getting a referral. He was a multifamily broker, and I got a referral for a $24 million listing from that. So here's somebody that I would have never, crossed paths with. We would have bumped into each other at that bar in the hotel and never had any interaction. But he knew who I was because of my social media presence. So I tell people that today, especially, you have an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to get in front of a lot of people, to build your brand and to speak your message and to add value to people. And, in an industry where typically we interact with people one-on-one, pick up the phone, one call, one interaction. Here with social media, we have an opportunity to reach a lot of people very quickly and very efficiently. So I love it. I've met a lot of great people from it. I mean, obviously, as you know, Zach, we built a whole course that was essentially the framework of it was based on, people from LinkedIn primarily who wanted to learn about commercial real estate. So I think it's a tremendous platform. I think that social media is very important, and I think that it builds a brand. And looking back, as I was mentioning to you on my way to the office this morning when we had a chat on the phone, I did a little spreadsheet, and about 20% of my listings over the last few years have come from social media or speaking on podcasts or things that are related to this broad outreach that is possible through social media.
So we've got Shlomo Aaron, who is a member of the CRE Pro tribe. He's one of our early adopters. He's a great broker, very smart, and I want to give a little shout out to him. We do have another comment coming in here, and it's actually for Robert. I love your 50 ways to repurpose content. Can you tell us more about how we can use this in commercial real estate brokerage? So in the CRE Pro course and in just commercial brokerage in general, we're strapped on time for sure. So I loved your article as well. Thanks a lot, Justina Souza, for reaching out. We appreciate you being here. But can you tell us a little bit more about the 50 ways? Maybe give us some tips and tricks, some ways, systems that you use and that you recommend using or with Rare in order to provide more value to your clients.
Sure. So you can take something right now and take it into Chat GPT and break that one piece of content down into multiple different bites. Replaying that episode, it wasn't actually mine. I just actually joined it and was a part of it. But it's the LinkedIn creator did a great job of providing different ways to repurpose the content. But essentially, she used Chat GPT to break down one thing and ask it to generate new content for you. It does a really good job of generating content, but you have to read it. You have to review it. It's like anything. It's like an underwriting model. It's only as good as the stuff you put into it. So understanding how you're prompting the AI to do what you want it to do and what its limitations are is great. Right now, I have it set up so I can pick any article. We can have an audience member pick an article on off of the internet. I can send an email to a certain email and say, post this article for me. It'll send me back 3 versions. I'll pick one. There's a button in my email. I'll pick one that I like, if any of them, or I'll cancel it if I don't like any of the versions. It's essentially using the Chat GPT engine behind it to generate the text and summarize the article. But I don't have to do it. I just sit there and read it. So that's how I'm utilizing it today. And then it'll post to LinkedIn. So if I choose version 1, 2, or 3, it'll then immediately post it to my feed. So
one of my favorite things that Dan said actually this morning, I really found insightful, and I absolutely love the way that you're using it, Robert. But Dan came up, said something really important. I think that he said, look, the reason that people know, like, and trust us and that we've built this credibility behind us is because we come up with these interesting new aspects and ideas. And one of the things that Dan and I talked about early in the pandemic was the repurposing of malls, right? The people weren't going to malls anymore. We needed more drop shipping. We needed more last mile, and you can repurpose something for that reason. Or QSRs being formed out of a bank. Dan and I, really started out early in our time together at the CRE Pro course. People were like, "Oh, that's genius! So I got to try that in my town." So I get a lot of emails. People say we use the ideas that you came up with during those early days of CRE Pro course. And really, that's what helped us build the whole course, is that we were listening to you, our audience, our friends, our family, our coworkers, our peers, our prospects, our clients. And brokers were saying, here's what I'd really love to learn from you, Dan. Triple net brokerage, or what are you doing today in the triple net space or the shopping mall space? So I think there's a lot behind using the power of AI, but also combining it with what we do on a daily basis, why we provide value, how we provide value, because a lot of times it's that out of the box thinking, but it allows us to take that content, chop it up really quickly, and then post it on a lot of different channels so people are aware of what you're working on. Yep. Speaking of which, Dan, I know you got some new listings this week. I think it's a great opportunity to promote some of them. What are you working on now? And how are you getting the word out there right now today? What's some of the tools and systems that you're using?
Yeah, great. So bunch of new listings. Last week I listed a CVS here in Michigan. We actually went under contract with a buyer that was sourced from, you guessed it, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, this is an individual who, didn't come from one of our e-blasts, didn't come from, our traditional marketing, but saw my flyer on LinkedIn and reached out direct. So that's a great example. That's a CVS with 4 years left on the term. I have a Burger King in your neck of the woods, Zach, in Texas. We're going to be listing that in the next week or so. That's a great deal there, shorter term remaining. And then I have a really nice Taco Bell, 13 years on the term. Border Foods is the guarantor. It's like essentially an out parcel to a Walmart, major freeway access, just a great deal, over $2 million in store sales. So that's a sick, absolute triple net deal.
Let me pause there for a second, Dan, and highlight one of those. And this is going to be a shout out to our friend Caleb Richter and the crew over at MyEListing. You can see them at myelisting.com. They are launching, just announced a partnership with Coinbase. So what they're doing is they have MyEListing ASAP. This allows people to purchase real estate with cryptocurrency from anywhere in the world and close within 24 hours. So, Robert, I'm going to flip it over to you here in a second because I think you have the technology aspect behind this. But Dan, let me ask you: would your seller, or do you know somebody that would consider using this type of a service on your Texas property, where they're rolling out first 13th of March? It's going to be in 9 days and 10 hours. I just looked at their countdown clock. We'll put that in the sidebar. But what are your thoughts on that, Dan, in terms of your clients and opening them up to more offers from around the world, from international clients and people here in the United States that want to use their cryptocurrency in order to purchase real estate, as opposed to letting it just sit in the wallet and gather dust, let's say? Do you think they'd be open to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is a good example. I have a strong rapport with this particular individual. And just candidly, I think that he would do whatever I advise. So, my perspective is that.
Well, you do what you advise because he trusts you, right? That's
100%. Yeah, 100%. And listen, the bottom line is that if it adds value to the client and it helps to expedite the process of selling the asset for top dollar, best terms possible, then yeah, I'm all for it. So, I think that it's definitely something to consider and very well could just be another avenue, right? Another avenue to get a property sold. And, as a broker who's, I have a lot of focuses, right? One of my focuses is excellent service. One of my focuses is providing, this goes along with excellent service, but, results for my client, top dollar, best terms, smoothest transaction, right? So the more tools that I have in my toolbox to make that happen, the better off I am and the better off the client is. So, I'm all about it. I think that if there's another avenue out there, another platform out there that can help to expedite the process and to bring, more well-qualified buyers at higher prices that are faster, I'm 100% for it.
Let me ask you, Robert, in your opinion, and from your perspective, as really, I would call you a marketing guru in my terminology. You come in as a consultant that commercial real estate brokers may not have the time, may not have the expertise, may not have the, that we're out there trying to do deals, we're trying to work one-on-one with our clients. Coming from the marketing technology aspect, what do you think about that? We've got Robert Briggs is chiming in here with his endorsement of my e-listing ASAP for cryptocurrency and I believe that it's Coinbase has right now formed a partnership with them. So what do you think about that? What do you think about cryptocurrency and closing within 24 hours versus the 90 days it normally takes us or more to go through a transaction?
As somebody who buys and sells properties regularly, yeah, I think it's great. If you can get people to transact, you can get your money in and out. If it comes in through cryptocurrency, and then I can move it out and get it into my bank account at the end of the day. As a real estate owner, that's all we want. We want to have, confidence that the transaction is going to close when we sign that contract with somebody. So I think it's great. It provides more options, a wider buyer pool, and it's a great thing to have.
So and let me ask you, and you don't have to tell us what currency you have, but do you have cryptocurrency currently, Robert?
I do not have cryptocurrency currently.
Okay, but you can see, and I know Dan encouraged me a long time ago to get in the crypto space, and I'm glad he did. I've had Bitcoins for a long time, and I've never done anything with them, right? Flipped it over to Ethereum. It's gone through all over the place. So at this time, though, it is doing nothing for me. It's sitting there on the sideline. I love real estate. I believe that it's a more secure asset than in crypto. So I think this is a great opportunity, particularly to open it up all around the world. And one of the things that we do as marketers, as brokers, and as public figures of some extent, if we're here on LinkedIn, we've got 350 people that are here today. Viewing this and sharing and liking and subscribing to it, and we appreciate you all. So how do we leverage technology like my e-listing ASAP or LinkedIn or ChatGPT to grow our brand in a way that it elaborates on what we specialize in, but also it disseminates or shares the most amount of content in the most channels, because not everybody's on LinkedIn, not everybody's on Facebook or YouTube. How do you think that's best to do that, Robert?
I think the best way to do that is to figure out what works for you, what has been reaching your audiences, and then look at that process and eliminate the portion that takes your time away from talking to more people and producing the content that's valuable for them. So if you have to copy and paste that content, or you have to sign up to XYZ channel, that's why e-listing is great. It puts it out to a wider net simultaneously like that. That's what you want. That's what we need to harness AI and automations for in our daily lives and our daily businesses across the board, not only on interacting with clients, sourcing things. That way you have more time for that person to give them your brain power when you're with them, but you can share that information really quickly.
Robert, let me ask you a question on this topic. So how does one use services like ChatGPT and still maintain their sense of individuality and authenticity?
So right now, if you just log on to ChatGPT and type it in, you're copying, pasting, you're editing it, right? So you're using it to create a base, and then you're copying and pasting it into wherever you want it to go. So that copy and paste over, that's your chance to edit and provide who you are and your personal stamp on it. You get the first draft from them. Where you really see a lot of speed and efficiencies take up is when you integrate that into an automation and then understand, all right, this is what's roughly going to come out from ChatGPT. This is what I've been doing to, respond to LinkedIn posts or whatever. And so this is how I need to edit it. Once you understand roughly what's going to come out and how you would want to edit it and put your personal stamp on it, then you can start and build that into an automation so that every single time it's really authentically you, but you don't let the computer run wild and just post stuff out there. Otherwise, you end up on the news like Bing.
I love it. Do you know, Robert, if so, as far as I understand it, because of in ChatGPT 3, which there was, I put this on the advertisement or the promo for this. I'm not super clear between ChatGPT 3 and ChatGPT 4 in the data set that it analyzes. And much to Dan's point, like we want to provide up-to-date information. That's one of the things that we do, right? Dan is selling a shopping center, and that is time sensitive, up-to-date information. Quoting something from what I understand, the last iteration that I use in GPT is from Wikipedia, right? Accesses all Wikipedia and the internet from 2 years ago. Is it up to date? And if so, or if not, when would it be? Or what's the latest on that?
I don't know the exact question on what GPT 3 verse 4, the exact time and data set. I know that it was like a lag, like a year or two. If you're trying to get it to do factual things for you and write facts, I would stay away from that. You would still have to read it. It uses the technology behind it and how it breaks everything down and breaks it down into tokens. So it's basically guessing. It's a predictive model. So it's guessing based on what commonly occurs next to the other words. And it doesn't even break it down to per word. It'll break up a word into maybe 4 tokens. So, and then it's basically guessing at what goes next. And it does a good job of it. So it's really learning based off of your responses. When you stop it from generating or you ask it to regenerate a response, it's learning from all the users responsive. That's kind of how it's my understanding of how it's growing and essentially learning.
So that brings up a really great point, and I referenced this a little bit earlier, but I want to give a shout out to a few people that are leaders in this industry. That we have got a question here that says, are there people in your field that you admire? And Dan, I believe you have some, and I have some. And Robert, I'll have you elaborate a little bit more. But I wanted to highlight a friend of mine, Delee Becker, who is here in Austin, Texas. She is a maverick, and so she does great job at brokerage. But I was on the phone with her the other day, and I said, what inspired you to get onto TikTok and do more on LinkedIn? And you're all over the social channels, which is the same thing that I get. People are like, you're everywhere. How are you all over the place all the time? And it's just like Dan, like he posts consistently on a channel, and then he engages, interacts. He provides value in real time. It's not really it's not a GPT generated or an AI generated response, because it's really coming from Dan, and people really, really respect that. That's how he gets Dan fans. So Delee said to me, the reason that I do it is because I really got tired of cold calling. I don't like cold calling, and I don't know that any of us love it. I teach it in our course, so I like it, but most people don't love getting a cold call, nor do they love spending the first half of an engagement with you if you have a listing or you're calling about a listing, explaining who you are, what you do, just becoming, because you don't launch right into business. So, Dan, can you tell us a little bit more? Her thing was, or her quote was, I like people to know who I am, what I do, what I stand for, how I do business before they even talk to me. They can do that on their own time. They can do that, when it's convenient to them to learn about who I am, what I stand for. And then by the time that we're actually talking, I know that they want to do business with me. They enjoy how I do business. They've seen my successes. They've researched me. And in real time, they've seen comments like Dan makes on LinkedIn, which are insightful. And people say, I like that. I really agree with this. Dan, how do you use that in order to build your business, to remove the roadblocks of having those, not pleasantries, because we all want to be friends with the other brokers if we can. But how do you use something like LinkedIn in order to remove those roadblocks?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, typically when someone is making a cold call, it's in my opinion, it's kind of like a forced interaction, right? Somebody answers the phone, somebody's on the other line, and the goal is to get to, what do you own in your portfolio? what can we list for you, and how can we do business together. That's a large barrier to traverse. That's a lot of roadblocks that can get in the way. So when there's already an understanding like, hey, this is a person that is a content creator, this is a person that is a thought leader, this is a person that is liked, known, and trust in general and has an audience. Now when you're reaching out to people, assuming that they've received some of that understanding about who you are, then it's a much simpler, smoother interaction. Oh yeah, hey, I know who you are. I read your newsletter, or I heard that you have a course, or I've seen you around on social media, right? You'd be surprised how many of our clients are spending time on platforms like LinkedIn, right? Exchanging knowledge, making relationships, building connections, doing deals. So if they see that you're playing in that space as well, it's an instant trust builder. It's an instant rapport creator. So that's another reason that I think it's so important to have a strong presence and brand on social media. That way, when you have those interactions that as a broker we're all having, you can remove those roadblocks and make it much easier to actually get to where you need to go as a broker.
I just thought I'd put this up here because you obviously have a Dan fan out there. Whoever 100% True is coming off of YouTube Live. Dan
is that what I was wondering why we didn't see a name? 100% True. How you doing? What is he saying? Dan looks like a successful person. How does he deal with jealousy? I think you mean jealousy. But how do I deal with jealousy that other people have maybe towards me is what he's saying. I listen, I just try to have the mindset that I want everyone to be successful. So your success is my success, and vice versa. Oh, and Stephanie
What
Wilson.
a freaking surprise. We've got Dan fans filling up the chat. Awesome, guys. Cool.
So, I think that's important to have that mentality. I mean, in many cases, I've been, I've had dilemmas earlier in my life in terms of, do I share this with other people? Do I, keep these things close to my chest? And I found that I've never lost by sharing information. In fact, the relationships that I've built through sharing information and experience and knowledge have been so much, so much of a positive trade-off for that potential fear. And I think that fear comes psychologically from like a loss aversion, right? People think, and I've thought this in my life prior as well, that if I give up this piece of information, I'm going to lose something.
It's a really mentality, right?
The opposite of that is, as you said, an abundance mentality, that what I have, if I give it to someone else, it's going to benefit both of us. And in turn, I'll probably receive from them as well. So, that give and take, I think, is so crucial. And really, I speak on a lot of podcasts, and I hear this over and over from podcast hosts, is that, the real estate space is incredibly unique in its knowledge share, right? And in its abundance mentality. I've never seen anything else anywhere. And I know everyone's nodding their heads because this is 100% truth, right? So I've never seen anything anywhere like this, where there's such a knowledge share and a desire to help people and to build and to grow. And I think that is so crucial because we need each other. There's so much more we can do. Stephanie's a great example. Stephanie's a broker. I've been speaking to a debt broker, a lender. So anyone who needs, loan quote should reach out to her. And she's someone I've been speaking to. We've been bouncing ideas off of each other about how to help each other grow our businesses, right? That's 100% a win-win opportunity. And there's so many examples for that in our industry.
I'll just put one other up here real quick, but we appreciate you too. 100% True. Hey, Robert, let me ask you, how do you deal with that abundance mentality as well, right? Because you, I would say, have some sort of a conflict as well, right? You're giving away, if you give away all of your secrets, all of your tools, all of your tips, tricks, systems, whatever you're using in order to scale your business, then why would somebody come to you to pay you and Rare in order to help them not only market their business, but also like structure their brand?
I think the simple reason is you don't have time. You don't have enough time in the day to do everything. You can't be an expert at everything. And quite frankly, when something happens or a process doesn't work, or chat GPT changes from 3 to 4 and the results come back a little different. You don't have time to figure out why. Like, you don't have time to mess with it. You don't have time to troubleshoot. Who wants to? It's like when you're trying to print a document off for a presentation, like, and the printer stops working. You're not a tech guy. There's nothing more frustrating to me when I'm like, you spent all this time working on this, it's beautiful, and then you have a tech issue. It's essentially the same thing, and a lot of this stuff is new and changing, and it doesn't quite work right. So it's a better use of your time, quite frankly, to continue to do what you're good at and what's been making you successful, and kind of lead and be like, I want to get from point A to point B. Going back to your cold calling example, hey, we got to prep for a cold call. Wouldn't it be nice if you got a little dossier in your email that's like, scrapes the data from LinkedIn? This is what this person has on LinkedIn. This is what they work. This is now go to their company webpage and bio. Now you can still do that. Sit there, click their page, go and do that. But I can have the computer do that for you and send you an email.
That's a great example. So I think this is really leveraging or hitting upon the fact that time is limited. Our skill set may not be in fixing the printer. And by the way, I think that's a conspiracy by Hewlett Packard. The original business philosophy was wait until it's really important to print something and then have it go offline. That's just my theory. So I really think it's good to focus on what we're good at. Dan and I are great at working with our clients, providing out of the box, or outside of the box solutions to creative financing, to knowing the most amount of people, have them know what we do, what we specialize in, and then showing them, proving the results, and then have them, just like Stephanie here, talk about you outside of your personal, like, one-on-one, so that if they're going to a cocktail party and they're like, this guy Zach just crushed it for me on this industrial deal, and I didn't think it was going to get done, and he got it done, and my job becomes so easy when someone's like, you helped somebody out that they didn't think it was possible. You got it done. I want you to do it for me. How do we do business together? So that's the easiest way for me to grow my business here in Austin as a commercial real estate broker in warehouse, industrial, bring more guys like Dan into Texas in order to use things like My E-Listing ASAP. Can you tell us, Robert, like what are some of the pain points for commercial real estate brokers that you have identified, and then that Rare is able to solve with the consulting side of your business? And like, how much engagement do you have after that initial consulting section to tell them what the solution might be?
Yeah, so I mean, I've participated in all aspects of real estate ownership and operations at this point. So you tell me kind of what it is that you guys are doing. So you're doing commercial real estate brokerage. So what people don't see for their transactions, where you pull a rabbit out of the hat for them, is the army and hours of work and providing the presentations and sending the blasts out, and that preparation, making sure that presentation is perfect and looks good, right? Somebody had to do that. Somebody had to go in there and type it up. Well, what if you could have your analyst, instead of having one guy work on it for 4 hours, he could just update the Excel model, and then the whole presentation of the narrative, everything fits in, and you guys are now reviewing it. You take your production time on getting that marketing package out from maybe a half a day to within an hour, but it's still just as perfect. So that's really what I like and what I focus on is how can I get you to that same level of whatever you've been delivering that works for your business, but how can I do that in a way that is just faster for you, so that you have more time for your clients?
So we got our friend here, 100% true again. Robert, you look like a trustworthy person. I would agree with this person. How do you keep taking care of yourself and running a career simultaneously? And does ChatGPT have anything to do with that, or do you actually have to put in the physical work in order to get those guns pumped up?
Guns.
There you go. I love it.
I'm getting back into the gym. Luckily, I have a lady that keeps me motivated and keeps dragging me to the gym with her. So it's a good thing having somebody there that encourages you along the way, and you can be the encouragement for them. So that's
It's appropriate use of time, right? Like this is a good example, right? Because nobody can go to the gym and lift weights for you. You have to do that. You have to carve out the time, whether it is your inspiration or inspirer in this case, or it's, you just want to feel better, look better, do better. And can you would you be able to spend more time, working on a marketing proposal, or does it make sense to outsource that? You bring the concept, you bring the deal. Like Dan brings, Dan comes in with a triple net deal. He just closes CVS. And as we say in the CRE Pro course, Dan, when does the real work start?
Yeah, so we say that the closing is just the beginning, right? And I'll give you a perfect example of that. Okay, so I closed a Family Dollar in Akron, Ohio, a couple months ago, and I'm just going to be straight with you. I was busy, I was tired, I was running around in my personal life with my kids, and I was like, man, I don't want to send out a just closed email. Like, why do I need to do that? Like, I'll do it on the next deal. And I was like, you know what? You said it yourself in the course. Like, the closing is just the beginning. Like, you can't stop then. So I put together a just closed email, sent it out. Boom. Immediately, I had 2 people reach out to me. One who had a Family Dollar, and he's like, oh, you just sold a Family Dollar. I have a Family Dollar. Can you sell it? And another one who said, oh, you just sold a property in Ohio. I have a property in Ohio. Can you sell it? And that turned into a very easy transaction and a great relationship, selling that, that other CVS in Ohio for someone who now, we did the deal. We're done. I'm actually helping him with some other things, but we kept in touch. And my point is that, there's so many opportunities. And as a broker, what I found is that I have to have principles that are like do or die principles, right? That I do it or I die or my business is over. That's how I have to look at it. So to me, that's what just closed emails are. That's what that, closing blast is, because it's an opportunity. It's such a great opportunity, right? When any broker or even an investor is seeing success, they should reach out to their network and say, hey, listen, I've done this. I know that you might want to do something similar. Give me a call. You'd be surprised. There are a lot of people that, that want to have interaction with you and that you can help just by repeating the same thing that you've done. And obviously, the more that you do the same thing, the more that you become an expert, right? So I sold that CVS in Ohio based on the Family Dollar in Ohio. And now I have another CVS here in Michigan. That's building track record. That's building success. So here we have, I guess, another question. Dan, how do you work with other brokers to get deals done in an asset class you haven't worked on before? That's a really good question. So it really depends. If it's something that I don't have the bandwidth for or am not, expert enough to deal with, I will refer out. But typically what I'll do is I'll partner with somebody, typically within my firm who has experience, and I use it as an educational opportunity. Hey, this is a new type of product that I don't have a lot of experience with. I know brokerage, I know the process, but I don't know the exact asset like the back of my hand. So I want to learn it. I liken it to cars. I love cars, right? So if I understand how Ferraris work, but I don't understand how Porsches work, I understand how a car works, right? I understand the process of how to drive it, how to repair it, how to take care of it. Well, hey, I can just learn the nuances that are unique to Porsche that are not unique, to Ferrari. So it's very much the same thing in my experience. And that's what's allowed me to kind of branch out a little bit, right? Like you have to understand that every broker was inexperienced in every asset class at a certain point in their career, right? And all it took was learning about that asset class, getting their hands dirty, and having mentors and people within their firm. That's why it's so important to be part of a great firm, and I'm very thankful that I am. So those people were able to do those things, getting their hands dirty and working hard and learning and being part of a good team. That's what has helped individuals grow and build their skill set.
All right, Robert, we've got a question coming in here from Robert. Cool name, by the way. You must be awesome. Yeah, Robert, cool guys. Okay, so what's one tool that every commercial real estate broker should be using today? Outside of ChatGPT and some of the others that we've talked about already, can you give our audience a golden nugget of what they should be using today in order to accelerate their business, close more deals outside of the CRE Pro course, because CRE Pro course
You stole my answer.
Yeah, all right, baby, I love it.
That's the answer.
Outside of
Like,
the ones
CRE
we
Pro
talked
Course,
about,
boom,
what
mic drop story.
what's that?
I said that's the answer. CRE Pro Course, boom, mic drop, end of story. Next question.
So
Next question.
assuming that you've already taken the course and you're already currently in one-on-one mentorship with Dan, let's assume those two things are true. What else should people be using, commercial real estate brokers be using today in order to accelerate their business?
Probably LinkedIn in their phone. LinkedIn's a great tool. I'm sure you guys are all using it every day, but just maintaining a presence, picking up.
How do you do that? What's the best way? What do you find for your clients when you do consulting with Rare? Like, what do you suggest that they do in order to increase the number of listings, closings? And Dan just highlighted something before where it's not just sending out that email blast or posting on LinkedIn, but also providing value in that post. Not just I just closed this, but here's what happened in this transaction. Here's how it could be similar to what you're working on. If it is, let's talk. How would you suggest using LinkedIn in order to grow your business?
I think making yourself accessible through LinkedIn, having tools automate to have people be able to reach out and schedule with you, blocking out certain times in your calendar to be able to talk to new clients, responding quickly. I think those are all just common things that everybody likes to have when they're, when you're looking for services. You want somebody who's responsive and knowledgeable and accessible to you all the time. I think if you can provide that through whatever has worked for you, do more of it, right? Figure out whatever has made you successful, given you whatever success you've experienced, and just do more of it.
Dan, I want to highlight something you said this morning. I thought was really insightful. It's definitely going to play on what Robert just said right there, and it's analyzing your business pipeline. I know you do this. Hopefully I'm not sharing a secret outside of what I should be sharing, because you know how I love to drop those knowledge bombs. And sometimes you're like, all right, shut up, Zach. But you said this morning that you had spent some time analyzing your deals over the last year, which I know you've crushed some monsters. So I'm appreciative that you do that you reflect back and you think about what has been doing well for you, what has been apparently fruitless, and where you can spend more time. Just like Robert said, focus on the things that work, and those that don't, get those out of the way. So you set up a spreadsheet, right, of all the deals, where the deals generated from, what closed, what percentages, what kind of work it took. Can you talk a little bit more about that, how you use that in your brokerage in order to streamline your time and to focus on the things that are producing and eliminate the things that are not?
Yeah. So, I mean, what specifically what you're referring to, and I'm pulling it up as we speak. I had a kind of like an epiphany. I was trying to figure out, what's the source of my closings. I'm opening up the spreadsheet as we speak. I titled it Source of Closings. And the reason I did this is because I felt myself getting a little bit too emotional. I felt myself, trying to convince myself, well, hey, maybe my business is coming from here. Maybe it's coming from there. And, actually a good friend of ours, Ben Kogut, who I love dearly.
Shout out Ben Kogut, what?
Yeah. So he's like, you need to make a list and see where your closings came from. And this is so funny. The human condition is so funny. It took me like 6 months to make this list. By the way, to do it took probably 5 minutes, but the procrastination was 6 months because I didn't want to let go of certain things. I didn't want to let go of things that were not producing results. So I went
What's
through.
An example of that? That's a great point. What's an example of that?
I'll show you. I'll tell you right now. So I went through the last, it looks like 20 closings that I had. Okay. It's a nice round number, so that's helpful. So out of all my 20 closings here, 10 of them came from cold calls, which to me was like eye-opening because I'm the guy that always wants to do things other than cold call. But 10 of them, so half, came from cold call. 2 of them came from cold emails. Now watch this. This is incredible. I got a listing yesterday that was a response from an email that was sent a year and a half ago by one of my interns. So a year and a half ago, one of my interns sent a cold email, no response. And then a year and a half later, this individual says, hey, by the way, the property you referenced in the email, I want to sell. And then boom, we signed up the listing. So that's pretty incredible. Okay. 3 of my closings were buyers from other deals, meaning they had already bought a deal from me and now they're buying something else. 3 of them, so 15%, saw me on somebody else's show or podcast. 1 of them was 5% came directly from a LinkedIn poll. And 1 of them responded to a just closed email. Okay. So what was not a good usage of my time, which to me was mind boggling and I didn't want to let go of it, is I recorded 167 episodes of the Dan on Top show, 167 episodes. And I had zero, big fat zero deals that came directly from that show. Now, was it good branding? Probably, right? Was it good marketing? Probably, but it was, infinitely more effective for me to speak on other people's shows and let them push me out, right, than it was for my own. So that's a perfect example. So for me, I needed to do this so that I could see where do I want to put my efforts moving forward, right? And this really in black and white made it abundantly clear to me what I needed to do moving forward.
So Dan and I do a lot of podcasts. We're always open to jumping on podcasts, providing value, and jumping on panels. We're both fairly entertaining. Maybe I'm more entertaining than Dan. Who knows? It's up for debate. Robert, I know that you do the same. Obviously, both of you guys are both here. Dan and I have about 40,000 followers on LinkedIn. We say we have them together, so it's a enforced mass. So yeah, what inspired you today to come on, Robert? Why do you go on podcasts? Why do you go on LinkedIn Live like this? You can see, obviously, we're on Twitch. I don't know if you know any other commercial real estate brokers that are on Twitch. I mean, come on, I'm an early mover. Let's talk about this. And up to our TikTok friends. So yeah, why did you come on to the CRE Pro show? And how do you leverage the network of other people like Dan and Zach, influencers, enforce? How do you leverage that in order to, after the show, for example, how do you engage with people in order to make this worth their time and yours?
Yeah, I mean, I'm accessible, and I think as you guys are as well, and you're providing value through your CRE Pro course. And just like me, I'm available for any engagements and consulting wise, but mostly I just wanted to share any kind of misinformation or any hesitation, because I do believe that the way AI and automations are moving, it's going to change the way we work. It's going to change the expectation and deliverables for your analysts and interns and what it is that we teach them. I've been training interns since I was an associate 10 years ago. So I love passing on knowledge to the new guys and helping them figure out, underwriting, everything from underwriting models to packages, how to help them work better, faster, smarter, so they don't have to burn the midnight oil to get XYZ presentation out so that we can sell a property or so we can buy a property or whatever. So
I'm not feeling any love here from the crowd. It's Dan is awesome, and Robert, you have an amazing name, by the way. I don't know what's going on with Roberts today, but you guys coming in mass and supporting the Roberts on the page here. So anyways, I agree with you 100%. In fact, Dan can tell you the story of how CRE Pro Course started, because Dan and I were answering the same, like Dan picks up the phone every time. Like he gives his phone number out on the podcast that he's on, and people call him all the time. I'm sure that your wife loves that, Dan.
Did you know how many car warranties I've been offered?
So anyways, the one of the things that we started out early is Dan and I just said we connected because we're both part of Next Level Mastermind. And we said, look, if both of us are answering these questions all the time, we should create a course that is answering the questions that brokers have, particularly those agents that are just starting out in commercial real estate. They're just getting their feet wet, and they're trying to close their first deal in 6 months. And we said, we can do that. We can teach you how to do that. Don't wait 12 months, 18 months. We can show you, learn from us, learn from what we, the mistakes that we've made, learn from the tools and the tips and the tricks and the systems that we are using to close more deals. As Dan said earlier, the abundance mentality was there. We said, look, if we can put this together in a course, we can provide value, but we can provide value 24/7, 365, any channel, anytime. People can watch it on any device. So I think there's a lot behind that. And it's exactly what you were just saying there, Robert, where look, if there's a better way for you to get to expedite the learning process of somebody else, they contribute back to you. We have a lot of people that come in the CRE Pro Course. I mean, we've taught thousands of people how to broker deals, and they come back to us and say, look, I got a question for you, Dan. You are obviously the man when it comes to triple net, and I've got a triple net deal. I really haven't done it before. If you want to partner on this with me, or if you want to do the deal, I just love to see you get it done. If you'll allow me to watch you do it, or to be mentored by you, I can save myself years of working, years of failing, years of trying. I can expedite that all into one, package right there. So Dan, how are you able to, with the mentees in the group and throughout your network, how are you able to leverage technology or mentorship in order to provide more value, particularly to real estate brokers that are really just trying to get off the ground, and then those that are in the middle of brokerage, right? We deal with a lot of big brokerages that are saying, Dan, we'd love for you guys to teach us how you use the CRE Pro Course methods in order to grow brokerages. So how do you make that initial assessment, Dan? And then how do you implement that in order to make sure that our CRE pros are successful?
Yeah, I mean, so it's very important to look at your inputs and look at, not dissimilarly to what we talked about with the spreadsheet, is to find out what activities are you doing that are, creating results and what activities are not. And then spending more time on those activities that are, bringing you the proper results. And, as it pertains to technology, there's a lot of technology available. Sometimes, some days I often think there's too much technology available, too many options. And you need a tech wizard to just kind of play around behind the scenes and keep things together, right? There you go. Exactly. Exactly. So, I leverage a lot of technology and different platforms and different products and services to make sure that I have the best data and that my listings have the best exposure. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a few things. It comes down to the fundamentals and to what extent someone is willing to stick to the fundamentals. Are they willing to put that time in to make those cold calls or those cold emails or to get on those podcasts every single day to make sure that at the end of the week, they look back and say, yeah, I did do all of these things. Are they able to do that? Do they have the commitment, right? I think that it's about hunger. Are you hungry to do a deal? Are you hungry to build relationships? Are you hungry to add value? And there's a lot of intangibles that are very, very important. And this is one of the reasons we created the course, is that the actual technical analysis and the actual, fundamental aspects of a broker's day, those are all teachable. What's not teachable is motivation and hustle and determination. That's not teachable. That's something that comes from within, right? And anyone who thinks that, it's like the person that says, well, hey, I don't want to work out, but I'll get a trainer and they'll yell at me and make me work out. Then you know what? You're gonna work out with that trainer so long as that trainer is right in front of you. But the moment that person's gone, you're not going to be able to continue because the impetus wasn't from within. It's the same thing in brokerage. If you have that determination, that hustle, and that drive, right, and that commitment and that motivation that comes from within, you'll be able to be successful. If you constantly need somebody else to give it to you, it's okay to need it from time to time. But if you constantly need somebody else to give it to you, that's problematic, especially in our industry. What I will say is that if someone puts in the time and effort and has a great team, right, and has a great mentor, and by the way, here at Encore, we are growing. So if there are experienced brokers out there who want to join forces, we'd love to talk to you. But so anybody that's able to follow that model, it's really an incredible profession. There's so much opportunity, so much flexibility, so much potential for growth and development. And honestly, helping people, right? Doing major deals that are helping people. I can give you a few examples of deals where somebody came to me and thought their property is worth X. We evaluated it, brought it to market, and sold it for not just $1 million more, but I'm talking $13 million more. That's pretty incredible. That's a lot of value that we add as brokers.
That's 13 million value. Is that what that is right there?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, look, one thing I will recommend there, or I will add to your list there, Dan, of the intangibles or not the unteachables, but is outside of the fundamentals, which we teach in the course, which you and I go through every day. We underwrite deals. I believe, or at least I'll categorize myself as an opportunity seller. I don't look at land just as land. I look at it as the next shopping mall that's going to revolutionize and bring the neighborhood and community up and provide jobs. It's the new multifamily they're going to build. It's the new, I'm doing RV parks right now, storage all across Central Texas. So I will say that one of the things that you provide, Dan, I know personally, is this intangible of community, right? Of buy-in, of personality, of trust, all of that stuff. I mean, I really agree with you, Dan, that the fundamentals can be taught, but the trust factor needs to be built over time. It's built over. Dan showed up. He picked up the phone when I got, I needed some help on a triple net deal, or, just had a simple question about brokerage. How do I do something that I've never done before? And my senior broker doesn't know what they're doing, or they don't, not spending any time with me. How do I get this deal done and not look like an idiot and drop the ball? And we hear all the time, Dan, which is really cool. And I know you said this morning on our call. You're like, it's amazing how often people reach out to me and they're like, people just reviewed my LinkedIn page. They saw a deal that I did. They used some of the tips and tricks from the CRE Pro course, and they crushed a deal. And then now they're taking their family on vacation, or they bought a new car, or whatever it was. Like, I wouldn't say that we are the success factor for them, but they took the motivation, just like you said with the trainer. They took the information and they moved that alongside with the relationship with their client in order to crush the deal, in order to grow on that. And now you're an accomplished, triple net broker, or you're accomplished apartment seller, whatever it may be. So you have one of those underneath your belt. But look, there's a very real possibility. We've found some stuff that are on the ropes, or people come to us and they're like, I just don't see any way I'm ever going to solve this. And it's so far down the line that they waited so long. And then now you're into a financing issue or whatever it is, that it's almost unsavable. So I think reaching out early, thinking about that, and then, as you just said, Dan, maximizing your resources. If you know somebody that does, and you don't have experience in it, and you know somebody that does, reach out to them. Dan's a great example of this. He'll answer your question. He'll provide you guidance long before you ever do business with him. Robert, do you find this inside of your career as well, that you give away a lot up front, and then you're like, what am I doing? Why am I giving, like Dan was saying with his emails earlier, why am I giving away all this stuff? And then at some point they pick up the phone and they call you and they're like, we really need your help. What can we do in order to solve this marketing problem? Or we're out, stressed out here. What do we need to do to promote this property? Have you had that experience lately?
Absolutely. I think everybody has, because at the end of the day, that client has to live and have the issues that they're dealing with. And so as long as you're there with them and you're providing the best advice, and I have a rule that I want to work with people that I like and that have integrity as well, because that's how I want to conduct myself. So that's how I want to be treated. That's how I treat other people. So I won't work for somebody if I don't think they have integrity. If I don't think they're a good person, I won't help you. But the people that come to me, I'll give you my opinion if you need it. And if you need the work done, then, that's a different story. And not everybody's always ready to get the work done or have somebody else do the work done in that moment. And that's okay. Because it's not your problem. At the end of the day, it's theirs.
So I asked you this earlier today on a call, Robert, that we have an amazing tribe out here. We have an amazing group of people that tune in, that share, like, subscribe, comment. We've got some great comments today. And oftentimes our network loves to help our network, right? And so you're part of our network, you're part of our friendship circle, and you're part of the CRE Pro tribe. How can our CRE Pro members and our audience, how can they help you? And where can you be found on the interwebs?
Yeah, so I've got two companies. Rarity Holdings is a consulting firm that does the AI automations, and then I've got Raider Holdings and that does co-sponsorship opportunities for multifamily real estate. So
okay.
I'm not really looking to deploy any capital this year. I think on average I underwrite maybe 400 deals a year when I look at stuff and kind of pick the best ones. This year I'm focusing on Rarity Holdings because I want to underwrite by summer 400 deals a day. That is my personal goal, is that I want to leverage the power of AI to kind of take the first pass underwriting. Even if you have a quick and dirty model and you do it in 15 minutes, there's only so many minutes in a day. I want to basically be able to load the machine at night, have it run in the morning, sit down with the newspaper and an Excel spreadsheet that gives me a list of the properties, addresses, initial return parameters, and have it populate it for me. I don't need to be typing in the address and pulling a night owl report and saving that, and then pulling rent comps off apartment.com and then pulling a CoStar report. That all takes time.
I'm surprised that you can still find a newspaper, man. No. How can people get in touch with you? How would you like them to reach out to you?
Go to Rare T Holdings and check out the website. If you're ready to improve now, hit improve now, and tell me. It's I think 6-question form on what it is that you're struggling with, what you want to improve in your business and streamline, and how much you kind of want to increase productivity or have cost savings every year. So a lot of clients are looking to repurpose staff or automate AP processes or something like that for the larger property management firms. We can free up a staff of 40. We can take that down to staff of 5 maybe, and then you have 35 people free to do something else. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do.
So Dan, I'm going to give you the mic here as we part. First of all, how ironic is it that from our first times on the CRE Pro course and show and our LinkedIn lives, when people used to come in and drop comments like this all the time, but more about Bitcoin. They wanted to they said they wanted to sell us Bitcoin. And so we would put them up and Dan would go on a blast for like 15 minutes about Bitcoin and how he didn't want to be contacted anymore about any more Bitcoin. And now we're at the point where we are actually promoting the exchange of real estate for Bitcoin. It's full circle, Dan. It's full circle, but it takes something like My E-Listing to put it to that level, to really standardize it, to make it safe, secure, and make it completely legal. So, Dan, tell us how what you're working on right now, what you're focused on, and how people can get in touch with you and any asks or wants or haves for our CRE Pro course and CRE Pro everything.
Yeah, so I mean, I've mentioned a few of the listings I'm working on. I've obviously got, my junior broker who dropped in here, Shlomo Aaron, woo, baby, from the CRE Pro course, right? Took the course, went through the mentorship program, and then ended up getting a job here at Encore. So, I'm here to add value any way I can. Obviously, I'm working on a bunch of listings, some stuff with the junior broker, some other things internally in the brokerage side of things. If anyone has property, anyone has triple net property or shopping centers anywhere in the country, okay, reach out to me and I will put together a property evaluation for you, letting you know exactly what it's worth, and we can discuss your options. So that's like number one.
As we say in the CRE Pro course, a no obligation free value proposal, complimentary value proposal. That's one of the tips and tricks, Dan. That's you, man. You brought that to the course.
Yeah, exactly. So please reach out. If anyone needs anything in real estate, wants to talk real estate, anybody wants a guest on a podcast to talk about commercial real estate, brokerage, net lease, et cetera, I'm happy to do so. So yeah, if there's anything I can do to add value, please reach out. I guess I'll just leave with one little tip that I was thinking about as we were talking here. Something that I've been discussing with somebody that's in an ancillary industry that's found a lot of value from this. So if you want to reach out to somebody, like especially in real life or on the phone, and you see that they're active on LinkedIn, first start commenting on their content on LinkedIn. Start engaging and interacting with them in this like quasi-public forum that we have, right? I guarantee you when you pick up the phone that day or the next day to call them, they're going to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I saw that you commented, thanks. And now you have an automatic in to start a conversation with them and build rapport. I've done it before. People who I've told this trick to have done it before. It's very, very, very powerful and it works. Okay.
So I'll add on to that, because you've said this before, Dan, is do the same thing for those that influence in your market, right? And you've done this with a lot of people. Beth Azor is a good example, right? That she is somebody that you work with, that you're friends with, that or any of the other guys that do the same. But subscribe, and then comment on the comments of their tribe, right? Because they're interested in the same thing. Maybe they don't know about you yet, or there's no chance of that, Dan. But let's just say they don't know about you yet. That's a great way to grow your presence amongst the people that are already following people that you admire, that you work with. So that's another Dan tip right there.
Yeah. And listen, if there's anything I can do to add value, please reach out. The way to reach me, first of all, you can call me on my cell, as long as you don't want to sell me car warranties or go off on too much of a tangent. I mean a tangent like related to Bitcoin. Real estate tangents are always welcome. My number is 248. Dude, that's like my phone number growing up. I almost just gave out. 248-943-2838. Again, 248-943-2838. You can find me at EncoreRealEstateInvestmentServices.com. In addition, I'm on LinkedIn. My name is on the screen here. So, look me up, connect with me, reach out. If there's anything I can do to add value, I'm always happy to help.
So I'm working on a few things here in Austin, Texas. I'll make it brief. I'm selling massive amounts of land right around Taylor, Texas, which is Samsung. Samsung is crushing right now. Taylor is on fire. If you don't know where Taylor, Texas is, hit me up. I'm in Austin, Texas. I do all types of brokerage, but mostly industrial, warehouse, distribution, and things are going very, very well. I'm very appreciative of my tribe here and all my friends that have sent me business over the years, including Dan Lukowitz. 1031 exchanges are my jam, and I like building community. Just like Dan said, we're always up for doing a podcast. Reach out to me if you want me on your podcast. I absolutely will bring the hat. Thank you very much in the comment section side there. I'm all about the cowboy, and I'm all about providing value for CRE Pro Course, for Robert, for Dan. I really appreciate your time. Like, share, subscribe, and then comment in the side, and we absolutely respond to every single comment, whether it's right now live or it's in the replay. Share it on your social media streams. That would really help us out. And let us know, what would you like to learn from the CRE pros, Dan, Zach, and Robert? What can we do for you? How can we provide you value? And what topic would you like to learn about next? I'm Zach Rasinger.
I'm Dan Lukowitz.
And you are?
Robert D.
Woo, baby, you got it, man. Thank you very much for joining us today. We will see you next time. Deuces.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.